Hi everyone, and welcome to Two-Player Quest, where I help you on your quest to find the best two-player board games for you. In today's video, we have Project Elite. Now, in Project Elite, you play as a member of an elite squad who is tasked with defeating the alien empire. It is a real-time dice rolling game in which you and your team members fight off the aliens and try to achieve your mission's goal. But is a two-player team big enough, or do you need more? Let's get into it. Project Elite is a game for 1 to 6 players that, according to Board Game Geek, plays in 60 minutes, which I find odd because you have a maximum of 8 rounds of 2 minutes, which would bring it to 16 minutes. And yes, things happen in between and discussions and stuff like that, but even then, 30 minutes to at max 45 minutes is what I would say it would take to play this game. 60 just seems too high. It's at a 2.48 on Board Game Geek, so it's an easy to slightly medium game, and it is a high luck game. It all depends on the dice. Now, you do have the benefit of it being a co-op game, so if your dice aren't in your favour, somebody else's dice might be in theirs, so that helps. But I must say that if the dice aren't in your favour, it does take the fun out of this game quite a bit. This is what the board can look like at the start of a 2-player game. Now here on the left you can see the tiles with information about the basic aliens. You can see the event pile there at the top are 2 player tokens. We are doing an extermination mission, so you can see the extermination piles as indicated. Then at the top next to the events we have the search pile, the alien tech pile, and the swarm spawn pile. Now here to my right we have all manner of aliens, and we have our dice ready for the game. We have selected a character. In my case I have selected Kinji, and we have selected a basic weapon. Now the rest of the setup I will do now when it comes to spawning monsters. You start with an event, in this case a nothing happens event. Wonderful. Then you reveal the monster spawn cards. The amount of monster spawn cards depends on difficulty and amount of players. Now, we play medium difficulty, so that's 1 monster spawn card per player. Now, on this card, you can see where the monsters will spawn and what monsters they are. So that's 2 shooters at spawn center 2, and they move immediately. Now, shooters are these. You spawn them at 2. And they activate immediately, and shooters have 1 movement. You always follow the lines for movement. And the next thing that spawns is 2 runners at spawn 3, and they also activate immediately, which also activates immediately, and runners have 3 movement. Now comes the boss spawn. Now we have the boss spawn deck right here. In medium, you draw 2 boss spawn cards. Now, our first one immediately spawns a boss. It spawns the Mind Eater. You can see the amount of HP it has, it activates immediately, and the amount of movement. So then you grab the associated token and you roll one of the numbered dice to roll where it starts. In this case, it's a 3, so it starts at spawn point 2. Now, the Mind Eater says all aliens within range 3 move 1. And now you place this near the board so that people can attack it. And then you draw a second one, and the second one is an all clear. Then it is the player's turn. Now there is a Project Elite app to use if you want. The game comes with a 2-minute timer as well, a normal digital timer. You don't need the app. The app gives countdowns, which is very useful. It tells you when and how for the game, and it's just a handy tool to have. Now in this case we're playing on the crash site, and you can now see we can start. So we press start if we want to start. Now in those 2 minutes that we are playing a round, you roll your dice as many times as you want and see fit. The dice have 6 sides. There are 6 different sides. The red, which is the monster movement, always needs to be done first. So if this were to be what you rolled, so that's 2 reds, a spanner and a loop, you'd have to do the 2 monster movements first. In this case, that could be 1, 2, or you could move 1 and 1. Then we have the movement, we have a spanner, we have a gun, we have a loop, and we have a touch icon. You can see on the weapons that every player has. For example, mine has Firestorm, which when I have one gun dice, I place it on there, and I can use that to shoot. So in this case, I would have range 1, as you can see on the left. I could roll 2 dice, and at a 5+, I hit. So that is the main actions, what you do. I will now do what a round does, and then get back to you. Now, this is what the end of a round might look like. You can see that some of the monsters are taken care of, and others are still on the board. After the action phase, so after the 2 minutes, comes the alien activation phase, in which you start with the alien ability phase, in which they do what they do. Runners just run, but there are no more runners in the game. We do have shooters, however, and you can see here that shooters roll 1 hit die for each hero within range 3. Each hero suffers 1 damage on a 4+. So, and luckily for us, there is no one in range 3, and the Mind Eater allows all aliens within 3 to move 1 extra space. Again, there are no aliens within 3, so in this case that's not an issue. Then comes the alien movement phase, in which the aliens move. Now shooters have 1 move, so he'd move that way, and this Mind Eater boss has 2 movement, and we shall move him this way. So they come closer to our figures so we can shoot them more easily. And then comes the end of round phase, in which you check for your victory. So in this case we were doing an extermination mission. You can see these tokens here. You need to place dice on those tokens. In all of these cases it would be guns. So if you were to place 4 guns on one of these tokens, for example, and those guns are locked there until the end of the round. So the best tip is to do this towards the end of a round. Then the dice go back to their rightful owners, and this extermination token is resolved. Now, if the mission objective was complete, so all of the extermination tokens were taken from the board and all figurines are safely in their hideout at the top there, and no swarm has attacked them by this point in time, then the players have won. If not, you continue on for another round, starting again with the event phase. Now, if you kill a boss, you gain an alien technology, which you can grab 3 from the alien technology pile and then choose 1. The same can be said for the search tokens. So, our red player decided to search and has searched that token, meaning for every search they did, they gain 3 cards from the search deck and then choose 1. If you have not won the game after the 8th round, you lose, or if one of your figures dies, you lose as well. Project Elite takes about 10 minutes to learn. It's nice and easy, it's very doable. It helps if one person already knows what everything does, so they can help with the setup, so everything sort of goes more smoothly, but even then, within 10 minutes, you can most certainly get going. I would suggest this game to real-time game lovers, of course, because this game does bring everything it needs. It brings the excitement, the thrill, the roller coaster of emotions that real-time games usually bring. This brings it to the table in a simpler version than others. On top of that, if you are looking for a game to easily bring to the table with a larger group, but that doesn't take up too much time, because there are games out there that if you play that with 6 players, you are taking hours. This one has a strict time limit, so you know how much time you are taking. So I would say for those people who want to have a larger group but not a too big a game, this is also an excellent fit. So if you just want that thrill that you can bring to the table easily with simple instructions, I would say this is a fantastic game. We really like this game, but mainly for more players, and I'll get into that a bit more in a moment. But in general, we really like this game. It can get your blood pumping again if you play 2 shorter games. So on a games night, if you want to, bring something exciting and thrilling to the table, then this is an excellent fit. It will really get you back into the sort of gaming headspace, which is something we really enjoy. We also quite like the theme, the whole way that it's made. It is excellent. Things are thought of. The miniatures are basically pretty much made to flick off the table. So in general, we just really like the quality and the design of this game. Now, This copy is a copy from a friend of ours. We have put it on our to buy list. At the moment, it is in back order because it was a Kickstarter game. So it is on our to buy list when we can find it. We think Project Elite is an excellent game for more players. We played this with 5 our first go, and it was beautifully chaotic and it was wonderful, full of excitement. And that is what I would think is a good number to play this game. The joy, chaoticness, and thrillingness grows exponentially with the amount of players you play it with. So playing it with 2 feels like a bit of a downer to us, frankly. It's a bit like Spirit Island, that when you play it with more players, you get more enemies, but the things you do have more effect. And you can sort of take on roles. When we played it with 5, you can have a healer, for example, that does do some shooting, but is also mainly there to heal and assist. And when you do it with 2 players, you can't really have those sort of more dedicated roles. With 2 players, if you have a healer that basically only heals and assists, you're not gonna get very far. You're not gonna have that much fun. So I would most certainly say a fantastic game for more players. In our house, it's not going to come to the table with just 2 players, but most certainly it will on game nights when we have more. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching our review of Project Elite. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, put them in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you next time on 2 Player Quest.